Here's 20 key patterns to look out for in a narcissistic relationship. Pre collapse, when you first meet them, there will be overwhelming idealization, which is the libidinal hook. You feel seen, understood, or chosen in a way that feels fated. You're rapidly elevated to savior, soulmate, or mirror self status. There's symbolic mirroring. They reflect your wounds, desires, or purpose back to you. There's an uncanny synchronicity or shared trauma narrative, and there's also an uncanny feeling. Premature enmeshment, fusion of the fantasy, rapid escalation of intimacy, codependency, or role absorption. You lose personal boundaries under the illusion of spiritual or emotional fusion. Emotional flooding. You're bombarded with affection, philosophical depth, or intimacy narratives. The speed makes you feel unsafe, but you ignore it because it feels important. Subtle bids for dependency. They suggest they need you early on, practically or emotionally. They signal that they are fragile and hurt, or incomplete without your input. The collapse stage patterns, the middle phase, the micro abandonments and libidinal withdrawal. You begin to sense that they're not fully present emotionally, sexually. Excuses emerge, stress, tiredness, your tone, your needs. And then there's the double bind communication. You're told that you're too much and not enough at the same time. Your emotional reactions are pathologized, while theirs are explained away. Then there's emotional withholding as control. They become passive, unavailable, or emotionally neutral during key moments. Your distress is met with apathy or rationality. Inverted guilt. You become the abuser. You start apologizing for your own pain. They reference your tone, delivery, or frequency of emotion as harmful to them. Then there's a faux accountability. They say things the right way, but nothing changes. They intellectually acknowledge harm, but show no embodied repair. Inversion and breakdown patterns. There's a self doubt loop, internalized gaslighting. You no longer trust your memory, your feelings, or instincts. You look to them for validation of reality, and they use that power symbolically. The rescue fantasy turns into servitude. You feel morally responsible for their healing or transformation. Your needs vanish, and you become a nurse, a therapist, and a shield. Emotional starvation and crumbs of hope. You're given just enough contact to stay attached. Moments of softness are symbolic, never consistent. Performative reconnection. They return briefly with love, sex, or words, and then withdraw again. These moments are mistimed, emotionally incongruent, or eerily hollow. Then there's the shared fantasy addiction. You feel addicted to the fantasy of who you were together. You stay in hope of reactivating the original idealization phase. Now we move on to the post discard or survival phase patterns. The collapse of self reference. You can no longer tell who you are outside of the relationship. You fear being the bad one and try to self correct endlessly. There's the introject, hijack, co opted internal narrator. You start repeating their words in your own voice. This framing of events becomes your inner dialogue. There is symbolic withdrawal from reality. You lose connection with time, people, and purpose. You live in emotional flashbacks or looped conversations in your head. Trauma bonding reenactments. You attempt to find them in new partners, or re-establish emotional intensity. You're drawing to emotional extremes, not safety. Impaired object constancy. You see others as rescuers or threats. Stable people feel flat or untrustworthy compared to the emotional high of collapse. The alacrity, the speed, the intensity, the emotional investment, the hypocathexis, the pulling away, the constant withdrawal, the constant approach avoidance. And then post discard, our collapse is recursive. The continued use of the narcissistic interject as your main operating domain.